Now, West Tech is one of the best places in the game that you can actually farm XP, especially during a new season. And most of the time, whenever a new season starts, my goal is just to get as far through this as possible. Right now, we're like a week in to this, and I'm like rank 90. So what I do is I basically just farm West Tech with a Nuka grenades build. And I'm going to show you in this video kind of how I utilize my camp to be kind of a quality of life improvement for the rotation that I do here. Now, to give you some context here, we do use a SMG for the anti-armor and also +3 intellect on here, and it's bloodied as well. And then we're also using Nuka grenades, like I said, because we can go through West Tech and basically just clear everything out. And then our armor, we're using unyielding. And then for all of our perks here is a lot of like quality of life, a lot of survivability stuff, but like things like Ordnance Express to reduce the weight of the grenades, and all of the new rifle stuff in perception. And the legendary perks are things like the intellect, the charisma, strength, endurance ones are all at 5. Follow through, which allows us to use sneak attack and get a little bit more damage out of our grenades as well. And then also enemies killed by thrown explosives will have a 40% chance of exploding. I still need to get this to higher rank, but even at higher rank, it'll be like 50% there. So I'll leave this screen here up so you can kind of take a quick look if you want to like snapshot this and like look at the build and everything. But this is essentially everything that goes into it. Now, whenever I'm talking about like making my camp work with whatever gameplay loop I'm working on, everything that's in this camp right now is going to be helping the West Tech farming route, essentially. So one of our biggest goals is to maintain an adequate amount of lunch boxes. Lunch boxes will be one of our biggest ways that we're going to keep our XP really, really high to get a lot of score. We're also going to be doing food buffs. So normally when I do food buffs, I'll go out for like an hour or so a day, and I'll make a bunch of brain bombs and cranberry relish. But really quick, what you will not see in this camp is going to be a deep freeze. But I'm going to kind of talk about the deep freeze really quick, because there is a little trick that you can utilize with the deep freeze. Actually, let's grab this one. But I want to show you, I have two different ones here. There's the regular one. And what's the difference between this one and the Nuka-Cola one is the Nuka-Cola one can actually be built in your shelter. And another thing too is when you actually like have one of these deep freezes, so as you see in here, we have a bunch of brain bombs and cranberry relishes in here. Once we actually store these in the deep freeze, we can actually get rid of this freezer completely on our camp, and they will still stay frozen for the most part. I also don't have a lot of crafting in this camp either, with the exception of the Tinker's Workbench. This allows me just a really quick way to scrap legendaries and things like that, and also just kind of make grenades as possible. But I really don't, when I'm in farming build, I don't make the grenades. I try not to, because we want to utilize things like super duper and things like that. You'll get a lot of the fragmentation grenades from the super mutants when you're running. So we'll go in here and look at the Nuka grenade formula here. Go all the way down here to Nuka grenades. So it takes aluminum, fragmentation grenades, and a Nuka-Cola. We get plenty of frag grenades from actually running the XP route. As long as you're looting everything. The only other bottleneck is going to be the Nuka-Cola. But what we do is we have the Nuka-Cola mystery machine here. So every so often when you come up here, we can spend 15 caps and hope to get like a normal Nuka-Cola variant. But also have the Nuka-Cola Quantum Collectron out here. And the reason I have this one and not the regular Nuka-Cola Collectron is because the Quantum one has a 38% chance of giving you a regular Nuka-Cola, as opposed to the normal Nuka-Cola Collectron only has a 19% chance. So you have a much greater chance of getting the regular Nuka-Cola from this guy than the normal one. Other stuff that's in here is like gourds and, you know, some other stuff like this. Gourds I usually keep around just so I can do brain bombs, or I can do my food buffs when I need to. Got some boiled water back here just in case I need to do some cooking. But for the most part, everything else is pretty standard. We have some purified water things here just to kind of help. We do use these to kind of sell to vendors. So I just like having these in every camp. We have canned coffee, which can help with AP regeneration if you need that. Company tea, I always keep around just because when we have a challenge for the day that has company tea, it's already ready to go and it doesn't take very much space here. The other really important things here, one of the newer items actually is the toxic Gular cooler. Now I use toxic goo add um, to add radiation for my bloodied build. So my if I'm running, I want to with unyielding, I want to run as much radiation as possible down to like 20%. So having access to toxic goo is just a really easy way to add a bunch of radiation if you end up losing some of it. And then you have the mechanical derby game. This is important because this is going to give you 2 intellect. When you're doing any sort of like XP farming, you want to have as much intellect as possible. So we're at 35 right now because we don't have any food buffs on or anything else. The Sacred Mothman Tome is also very important. This will give us a XP boost. So having this out here, you can have this in your shelter as well. But to help kind of save between loading screens and things like that, I try to have everything right out here outside the exit for West Tech. And as kind of a little bonus information, I'll cover, shelters and why you should be using those when you're doing dynamic camps like this. And then also you want to have like some sort of a bed in your camp as well. I have the stasis chamber here. This allows me to basically get the rested bonus for XP. The reason I have the dweller in here, like your companion in the camp, is because they are just like a better version of a turret. Imagine a turret that could walk around and do stuff, right? Turrets are pretty dumb in this game, so having the companion in the camp will give us a better, well-rested buff, but also provide a little bit more security because it will roam around and shoot stuff. And then we also have access to all of our stashes and things like that. So if I want to access like my brain bombs or my cranberry relish that are in my cryo freezer, all I really need to do is go to my stash, go to my food, and I can pull brain bombs and I can pull cranberry relish out of there, and then I can just eat them up. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to do a little run here, just so as I like kind of a bonus, you can see kind of the run that I do. Now you can also run like leader bobblehead or great mantis and stuff like that, but I usually don't have a lot of that stuff on hand, so I try to mainly use my 4 lunch boxes, my brain bombs, and my cranberry relish and everything. So let's go ahead and we're going to go and stack some lunch boxes here so I can show you the run real quick. I had this set to 9. You want to open 4 of these because that'll give you 100% of the bonus here. And I always check my statuses once I actually get everything on. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Food buffs, all that stuff. Another thing you want to do is if you're on a public server, you can have people join a party, but also just joining a party by yourself, a casual party, which gives you bonus intelligence. Even if you're in the party by yourself, it's going to trigger some of your perk cards and also give you 1 more intellect here. So let's go and check our stats here. We're at 42 intellect right here. And then one thing we need to be looking at is Lover's Embrace right there, 5% bonus XP. Failure Well Rested here, 100% XP bonus. Well Tuned, well, we don't really need that. We're not using a whole lot of AP. Wisdom of Mothman, it's going to give you 5% XP as well. And then Cranberry Relish is 20% XP. You probably won't see this unless you have Herbivore mutation, which I do. I use Herbivore, so a lot of my food to keep my hunger and thirst up is going to be things like corn soup, which right now I'm experimenting with the canned corn soup, which has a higher right here, has a higher carry weight than normal corn soup, but it doesn't spoil, and that's from the new cannery object. All right, so we have all of our buffs going. We're going to enter West Tech here. I'm going to show you a full rotation. One rotation is going to use 3 grenades, and there's certain ways and certain places I throw the grenades to keep everything from killing me and stuff. So normally I'm not going to hit this room yet because we're going to be using the upstairs of that room to reset the area. So with the way that adrenaline has been changed recently, we want onslaught stacks. If you look at the very bottom right of the screen, you'll see a little skull with a target on its head and a number 2. That is our onslaught counter. That's basically adrenaline. We want to come through here and get as many of these guys down before we even throw a grenade, because as the higher we have our onslaught stack, the better our damage is going to be for our grenade. Our first grenade is going to come over here. We're going to open this door, and we're going to throw it right over here into this corner. And then we're just going to slowly, we're going to stay crouched. We're going to slowly move over. That was 13,000 experience right there. And you see we're at max the onslaught stacks for adrenaline right now. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to throw another one right here. I usually wait a few seconds before I start running, just so I know that there's no glitching going on with the grenade. That was about 2,000. We got a lot of those guys with that other grenade. Now the thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here. This one's a little tricky because you have to time it with the door. We're going to go back into sneak mode. We're going to throw the grenade just like that, and then we're going to turn around and just run towards this door, still staying crouched. That was 25,000 XP right there, and then we're going to come back through. I could have sprinted right there, and now we have to unlock this terminal again, but not a big deal. And then you come in here, and some of these guys won't get hit by it, but you'll see how we're going to take care of that when we do the reset. The initial run through is going to be a little bit different than when we do it the second time around, because we're going to be coming out of the elevator for the next rotation. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go upstairs here. The reason you want to use this SMG weapon is because, one, it's bloody. One, it also has armor pen on it, armor penetration. And also we get 3 intellect on it as well. So it's really nice to have. Now normally what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to this area, and we're just going to take all these super mutants down and just kind of walk down this area. We have to go all the way to the back of this section just so we can reset the cell for the lower half and everything. So just run down here. You don't have to do anything crazy. Sometimes you get a couple extra kills for these guys being in position here, but that's not the case. Even if you're not doing score, if you're not working on a season, this is a really great way to actually get levels. I usually probably average 100 levels a week doing this, maybe like an hour a day. And I usually only do it for like an hour a day. I will save up to where I have 4 lunch boxes and I have a plenty of nuclear grenades, and then I will do a run. You can usually burn 50 to 60 nuclear grenades in the hour that the lunch boxes are active. So I try to like make sure everything is set up, and I kind of do those runs as I have all the materials for it. We're going to come out of the elevator. We're going to take that guy down. We're going to take this guy down. We're going to reload. We're going to open this door here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw this grenade into here. And then we're going to start running towards this door. All right, that was 15, so we cleared that. Then we can just go back and kind of do the rotation that we did when we first started. We're already at 10 onslaught stacks, so we can go ahead and just throw the grenade down this hallway. Wait a few seconds so nothing crazy happens. That was 11,000 right there. Take this guy down. That guy's hiding in the corner there. And all these little kills in between the grenades are just helping keep our adrenaline as high as possible. And we just come in here and throw this one. And then we can kind of just go and reset. Once that goes off, that's another 13,000 right there. We'll run all the way back down to the research area here. And we can loot everything, and then we can go right back upstairs. You can go in here and try to finish off some guys. If your damage is not high enough, some of the legendary guys won't die. But I usually just try to like do as many of these runs as possible through the hour that we have the lunch boxes. And that helps a lot. Now, the reason we have that camp set up the way we do is so if we die, we can very easily go outside and reset our well-rested buff. Because if you do die, then the XP buff you get from sleeping in a bed will go away. And also, the derby game, the 2 intellect we get from derby game only lasts 30 minutes. So we do, after about 30 minutes, have to come out and reset that. One of the other things they changed in the perks is the travel agent. So we are running travel agent in this build now because it allows us to fast travel while over encumbered, which we're over encumbered right now. But that just means that if we do need to go out and back to our camp really quick, we don't have to worry about having too much stuff in our inventory. But there's plenty of crafting stations in West Tech, at least the research area, to allow you to get rid of that over encumbered, which we'll do it right now. We just hit over encumbered when we came up here. And so I'll show you where like some of the areas are there's a lot of chemistry stations in the lower level of this area right here. And so we're just going to come over here, jump back over, start shooting these guys through the grate. And there you go. And once you get into a rhythm here, you're going to start seeing your score thing pop quite a bit, which is what you want. Let's go and load up in here. Now, when I'm doing the run like this, and this is how I've been doing it for the past 2 seasons or so, then when I come out of the elevator right there, there's a chemistry station right here. We can go in here and scrap. And you can just take off some of the stuff. You know, a lot of the legendaries I'll wait and do later. And also, if you see your equipped weapon here, especially if you change the build before relogging, it'll be in the news section. If you don't want to see this here, just to keep you from like scrapping it, then before you do the run, switch your build, get your new weapon on, and then jump out into menu and then come back in, and that'll go away. All right, so we cleared this front half of this building, so we're going to open this up. We're going to throw another grenade in here, just like that. And we're going to try to move away from it. I was about 17. I was a little delayed. And so we're just kind of doing this over again. The reason why that was a little bit lower than before was because we spent a little time scrapping those items, which meant that our onslaught stacks dropped from 10. But right now, that's what we're getting all these guys down here. And so we got our onslaught stacks up to 9. And so this run might actually take 4. Now, normally, that was 7,000 right there. Now, normally, I probably would have, if I was paying attention in there, I probably would have scrapped everything and then came out and just did this whole area right here. And then, you know, finished off with 10 onslaught stacks in that research area, which means we would have still only spent 3. But 10,000 in there. We're going to have to spend 4 on this run just because I wasn't paying attention to my onslaught stacks. All right. This should finish them off. Yeah, it's 12,000 right there. There we go. I'm just going to do a little maintenance, do a literally quick scrap right here of the junk. And then we're going to go right back up. And this just kind of continues going on and on and on. Now, I do these West Tech runs all the way until I'm rank 100. Once I'm rank 100, I will just let daily and weekly challenges get any extra ranks. And I'm just going to be saving lunch boxes and saving all kinds of stuff. The other thing we're not doing here either is running a boost. So right here we have 5 boosts to use, and you know, it seems like what we've been doing, it seems pretty mediocre because we're only 25%. But we throw that boost on, we go up to 50%. Now, when we go down and do this next run, you're going to see our XP, or at least our score, tick a lot more now. I usually wait to run one of those 24-hour boosts on the score until like 2 hours after challenges reset. That way I can get 2 sets of challenges for the same 24-hour boost. We're not going to wait around for those guys to come out. Here we go. Now, on average, I probably get 5+ ranks per hour when I'm running the 24-hour boost and all the food buffs and stuff like that. If you have intelligence on all of your armor, then you're going to do a lot better. Also, if you have the more intelligence you can stack, the better. Like I said, you know, you can run the grape stuff, you can run all these other things that'll help you as well, and you'll get a little bit better result. But one of my biggest goals is just to be sustainable and be able to do this regardless of if we have certain chems available to us. Man, you guys are strafing like crazy. All right, so we're at 10 onslaught stacks. We're going to try to get this grenade off before they fall off. There we go. Sometimes you got to be careful because the grenades will bounce off the hellhounds or even the super mutants and come right back at you, and which can cause you to die, which means you'll have to reset your well-rested bonus. But we're in a pretty good spot right now. We got, it was in the 19 right there. Really good. Come in here real quick, grab that guy. A lot of legendaries in this this rotation. And another thing I'm doing here is I'm looting all nearby corpses, so I don't have to go to every single corpse and loot it, right? And that's going to save you a lot of time as well. So normally what I'll do is I'll go up to any body part, Hit R for nearby corpses. Hit R again for take all, and you'll just grab everything in the vicinity. If you try to loot everything individually, it's going to be a pain. There we go. And that's pretty simple. Real quick, we'll kind of go over the, the build again. Like I said, I have unyielding on a bunch of all this stuff. Full unyielding set on Secret Service armor is what I'm running, which is really nice. You have a matching set. I would like to have intellect on all these as well, but I just have had a very difficult time getting those to drop. And then the weapon here is going to be an SMG. This is going to have bloodied, has crit damage, has intellect, and also has an inherent armor penetration on it. And as you can see here, it's got armor piercing receiver, it's got light barrel, it's got recoil compensating stock, large drum, reflex sight, and suppressor. And the armor penetration is what helps, because everything that's on your weapon applies to your thrown grenades, which is very important. So, and all of our perks and all of that stuff, help with the damage of the nuker grenade and everything. Let's go ahead and loot all these guys. But that's pretty much it. We'll go back out and look at the camp one more time, because I can guarantee you right now we're going to need to refresh something. And also, when you get to the point where you are just, even fully scrapped, when you're just over encumbered, you still will need to come to your camp and kind of dump everything off. Because even though we can fast travel with being over encumbered with travel agent now, we still want to be able to sprint to help with our time. So normally, if I see every 30 minutes or so, at least one time per run, I'll come out here, dump everything in the scrap box, dump everything in the ammo box, and then refresh like the Derby game or whatever. Here our Nuka-Cola, we got a Nuka-Cola twist. So Nuka-Cola in Mystery Machine is just kind of like a random thing, right? We sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't. So that's all I had to do there. I just came out here and just grabbed, put all the stuff away, hit a Mystery Machine, got the goo, come out here and clear this out, and then we can go right back in to doing our runs. Because if you look at our stats, we still have about 46 minutes left on this run and everything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, make sure your camp kind of like helps with your current rotation. Once I get to rank 100 and I'm done doing West Tech runs for the season, this camp will be stored and will go to something else. To give you some kind of better example, I also have a fishing camp set up. So always having camps that are doing things to help. Like this camp is literally just the bare bones for fishing right now. Not a real big fan of fishing, but this will kind of help prove my point about using your camp, and not just as decoration or whatever, but also to kind of help with certain objectives. Get this rad stag down. So this camp has a snow machine. It has my shelter, but also inside it's very compact. So we have, get this rad stag out of here. At pretty much every camp, since I'm always doing some sort of like XP farming, every camp's gonna have this Nuka-Cola Quantum guy in here, because I'm always trying to get Nuka-Cola. The important thing about this camp is we have the snow machine weather maker over here, because fishing, the rarity of fish can be based on different weather conditions as well. So nuke, rain, and clear weather. The snow weather machine actually triggers the rain. So if we are fishing when it's snowing, it's the same as if we're fishing if it's raining. Then you could also switch that out for the nuke zone weather station to simulate that, or you can run clear sky or clear weather to simulate that as well. And this is just a very basic. I come over here, I fish, and I do all my things. Now, to finish off this video, we're talking about shelters. Shelters are super important. If you're a new player, or maybe you've been playing for a long time, you don't really know how shelters work. Shelters allow you to not have to like reset up all of your crafting stations and stuff like that every time you move your camp or do something like this. Because if we go in here, I use one of the I use the basic one right here because it's perfect in size. The way that structures, or the way that shelters work, is everything that you put in here will stay until you clear it. Even if you go and remove the entrances of this shelter from every camp, this stuff will persist. So what I normally have in here is a lot of my display stuff. Got stuff to get rid of radiation. I have a vendor in here that allows me to put up, stuff on the vendor without actually going outside. I have my cryo freezer in here. Like I said earlier, the Nuka-Cola cryo freezer can actually go in your shelter, unlike the other one. I have the Derby game that helps with intelligence, like we talked about. Symptomatic is in here, helps get rid of diseases. All this stuff is things that I can just never have to like place again. Every time I move my camp or make a specialty camp, I just drop the entrance of this thing down, and I have access to all of my crafting, all of my stashes. Here's the new cannery station right here. And I have all my stuff. The only thing you don't get in here is going to be like your resource generators, like your coffee and maybe your weenie wagon, like any resource generator things that are based on a timer, you won't be able to put in here. But then I have like all of the bobbleheads displayed, all the magazines and the cards, and a display full of perfectly preserved pie, and a bunch of other displays going on as well too. But this is very important because regardless of if I clear this camp, if I just completely blow this camp up and want to build another one, all I have to do is drop that utility shelter entrance, and I have access to all my my crafting. Because otherwise, every time you make camp, you gotta put all your crafting stuff down, and that can get annoying. So that's why shelters are just really, really nice to have, because then it leaves your above ground camp to be a little bit more utility, and then this would be all the more consistent, constant stuff. That's gonna be it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.